Does this scenario sound familiar? You're married, you have children, you're building your career, maybe your business, and you're pouring into all three of these areas of your life, and it's very important. But it's also very important for us as men to be building relationships with other men. Friendships are so key for us to really have the next part of our life, the next third of our life, the very best third. Today we're going to be talking about intentionality. Outside of those very important ones with your spouse and your children and building your career, but intentionality as far as nurturing, building, working on relationships with other guys. And not only that, we're also going to give you some tips as to how you can maybe navigate this a little bit better and a little bit easier. So I'm David Fenwick. I'm your founder and host, and I'm here with my dear, dear friend, Taylor Lees. Taylor, so great to have you.
Hey, man. Yeah.
Come on.
I know. I'm here.
Yeah. So that scenario sounds familiar to you.
Yeah. I got two littles, 2.5-year-old and then a 6-month-old.
Yeah.
So I'm like always tired.
Yeah.
And if the fathers out there that have that right now, or even had it, like it's just tiredness is just a thing that just stays with me.
Right.
So yeah, my time and energy is like, I have to put it in small places.
Right.
So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, you have to be careful. And then you've got your wife, she's tired too because you've got these two littles, right? And so building and keeping that flame burning and that relationship going, that's intense.
Man, yeah. And that's like the most important relationship out of all relationships is your spouse. And like, because your kids, even at that young age, they're gonna see how you are and remember. That's right. But also it's like you're a team and you like feed off of each other, which I'm learning now. Mm-hmm. Am I doing a great job at it? I mean, not really, but I'm working at it every day.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, I feel like we've hit where, Lainey's like 6 months and I feel like we finally hit like this really good spot where we're like, oh, we can breathe a little bit, you know? And so, but for 6 months it was tough.
Yeah. I remember those days, but even somebody who doesn't have littles, you know, they might have teens, you know, that you just wait. That's a whole nother challenge.
Don't even hold on. Let me just think about where I'm at right now. I don't even want to go there.
But there are those guys out here listening
who
they'll identify with that. I mean, you've got traveling teams and you got school plays and programs and I mean, it goes on and on and on. So the draw, the drain basically on you for your attention, right, is there. So no matter where you are as a dad, it can be tough.
Yeah, so that's right.
So with that, and I know you've got your business and your wife's got her own business and you guys work extremely hard and, you know, that takes so much of your time. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, because we have, you know, we all work from home. So my wife, she does photography and she's an amazing photographer, does commercial work. And she's also just picked up acting. Like she's been in commercials now. Like she's signed with a modeling agency and she's done more film acting than modeling photos right now. I'm so proud of her. It's so cool.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
And then we also have a digital agency called Jesus on Every Screen. But it's all like in this studio where we're filming this. This is where it all goes down.
Right.
So we're home a lot, but I'm working a lot. And so like, I'm just to the point where I have to schedule stuff. Right. Like I've even had to schedule things with my wife. Like, and not just like, oh, let's go on a date tonight, whatever. It's like, no, baby, let's look at the calendar. Let's pick a day, put it on the calendar. Like, and I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not an organizer kind of guy, but I've had to force myself to be because of the position I'm at in life. Yeah,
that's that intentionality that we're going to keep digging into, right? Mm-hmm. And if you haven't picked it up, Taylor's not just my dear friend, but he's the creative genius behind Next Third, Best Third. He does all the filming, editing, managing the social media. So without Taylor, we got nothing. So
hey, you know, I want to help. It's just it's so important. I mean, this could be a whole other segment, but like we're all created for connection.
Right.
Like God has designed us. I believe in God and God built us for connection.
Absolutely.
So the thing is with social media, why I'm so passionate even helping you is like there's people out there that are dying for connection and the internet has taken over And I recently actually just saw it today. I saw this chart. We're back in the early 1900s. You know, family and friends were the timing of like when people spend their day or their life doing things. It's like friends and family were the top 49%, 51% was friends and family. And since the internet has been invented, internet has taken up 70% of people's lives.
That's astounding.
Isn't that crazy? Like
No, it's astounding.
Today, like this year, the survey came out, and I'm like, 70% of your time you spend more on the internet than you do with friends and family.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, when I was blown away, but then I also think about it in my life. I'm like, man, I'm watching Netflix, I'm watching sports, I'm listening to music, I'm on the internet for work, and I'm like 8 hours a day, maybe 10 hours a day. Sometimes I'm working, and then 2 hours in the morning, I'm with my family, maybe 2-3 hours, 4 hours at night, I'm with my family. Yeah. And then I go to sleep, or I watch a show before I go to sleep. So it's like, where's the connection time? Like that's the other thing we can talk about is like being disciplined and not having this random time where you're just like checking out.
Right.
Like better check out with a friend than with a screen in your face.
Yeah,
So,
we've got so much. We'll probably end up doing 2 or 3 episodes,
geez.
but bringing it back to the through that lens, that connection is so important.
Yeah.
We're designed, created for connection, and yet there's a battle for that connection, right?
Yeah.
There's a battle for our time. There's a battle for our attention, and there's a battle that keeps us separated. You know, as you've told me before, and I've read about it. You know, all these the hunger for likes and the hunger for, you know, someone giving you a comment and everything, right? Yeah. It's people are hungry for a connection, and it's a what would you call it? It's phony. It's a counterfeit.
Yeah, it is. It's a counterfeit, and it's stealing. It's literally changing your brain,
right? And
the way you feel how connection should work. Mm-hmm. That's why, man, I've just started running again, and I ran like 3 miles, and I'm near a high school, and so when I'm running, the kids are getting out of school, and I wanted to wave at every kid I passed. But every single kid I passed had headphones in, looking down at their cell phone.
Right.
Didn't even acknowledge that I was alive, passing them. And I'm like, that's the culture that is being shaped right now. Like this generation, even my generation too, is like we're always looking down. We're not looking up. Mm-hmm. Like next time you talk to someone, like, why don't you try your best to stare in their eyes the whole conversation.
Right.
And it like, you're going to start to feel how awkward you're going to feel. And that may tell you, man, you're spending too much time disconnecting from reality, that you got to maybe make some changes. But I mean, when I talk to people, I love looking in their eyes. And sometimes it's like, they get uncomfortable. They're like, you know, but I'm like, hey, come on, stay with me here. But it's crazy.
It's such crazy. A great observation that you made there, and you know, this false connection of likes and seeing who's checking on your, you know, your posts and things like that. That really, I think, it robs us of so much, because this interaction, right? Mm-hmm. And you and I, apart from being on an episode, but you and I interact all the time, and in that we can have conflict, mm-hmm. right? In that we can have challenges, we can question each other, you know, we have the bantering back of ideas. Yeah. You miss that in social media.
I mean, my God, like there's this old proverb, iron as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens another.
Right.
But how in the world when you sharpen something, it collides. So, but when it collides, that means both things are present. Mm-hmm. You can't collide over the internet.
No.
Like, I don't care how many, like, yes, there's so many influencers, there's so many people out there doing great things online. Awesome. You're discipling people, whatever, but nothing beats being in person. Like Jesus, I believe Jesus was real, and I believe Jesus had a ton of friends. Mm-hmm. Like, Jesus didn't do it alone.
No.
Like he went and found his friend. He was super intentional finding people.
That's right.
He went down to the lake. He went down to the markets. He went and found the friends, and he was very intentional with them.
It's funny. He didn't care about the followers, those who just followed him. He went out and he invited them, right?
Yeah.
And see, that's what we're talking about intentionality with guys is so often guys will make connections like with work, work buddies,
Yeah.
or they'll make some connections here or there with as you get older, the kids get older, the dads of your kids' friends and things like that. But I'm talking about, and because we live this, we've got a group that we hang with, and it's men who were intentionally called one another, saying, "I want you."
Yeah, and you know what? Men suck at that.
Yeah,
men really suck at like intentionality when in friendship.
Yeah, relationships in general.
And right? Relationship in general. I mean, I've been to so many men's groups and so many men's gatherings and it's just like when you take a step back and kind of look, like what's the first thing a man does when they meet another guy? They're like, hey man, I'm so and so. What do you do?
Yeah. What do you do?
What do you do? And so based off of what you do, that's how they judge you.
Right.
And then say you're a software engineer. I'm a software engineer. Hey, what do you work? Then all of a sudden you guys start connecting. But then say there's this dude over here. Well, I'm unemployed right now. I'm trying to figure things out. Oh, sorry about that, man. But I'm gonna keep talking to my engineer friend because he's at my level.
Right.
But that guy may need you.
Absolutely.
Like may need because we automatically, and it's like this auto thing that we were wired as guys, like especially in this business culture. This American dream culture is like, and then you back up and you start to see men who are like each other success wise. They gather together because, I'm coaching all these business leaders so I'm coaching millionaires. So I hang out with millionaires because I want to be a millionaire. Because, they do say who you hang out with, you become, which is fair. Yeah. But you also have to take a step back and like, look at Jesus. Like, he hung out with very wealthy people and he hung out with very poor people.
Yeah.
And they were all best friends.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it's interesting because from a career point of view, it makes sense that you want to hang, if you want to hang with the Eagles, you want to hang with the big boys and that kind of thing. That makes sense. But so much of what we're created for is not just what we're taking, not how can I get my career, but how can I make more money, What drives that is comparison. And comparison is a killer.
Oh, man.
It's a killer for men.
I hate it. And social media is a huge killer of that too. Because I see these, and even like when I see some of my good friends off doing something cool with other friends, sometimes I get a little jealous. Just like, what the hell, bro? Why don't you call me? I was like, I would have gone golfing. I was like, dude, I would have why'd you, like that? It happens with me. Some guys, it doesn't matter because they don't think that way. But for me, the way I'm wired, I'm super intentional. Like I'm a loyal friend. Like when you say, hey man, I want to be your friend. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, okay. And so I know what it takes to be a good friend. Right. So I automatically start applying all those things to that person, but that person doesn't reciprocate it, like doesn't have that trait. And so when I'm like, hey dude, let's hang out. And then they don't text me back for like 5 days. I'm like, oh man. I'm like,
isn't that funny? And yet you really are, you're naturally so gifted at connections.
Yeah.
You're naturally so gifted as a leader, right?
Yeah.
And people are attracted to you, it's that same thing, you and your wife, is attractive couple. People are attracted to you guys. Yeah. But it's being able to recognize that we're not just about what we're gaining, but it's who we're investing in, what we're depositing, because you don't need a bunch of Taylors.
No. I would drive myself crazy.
Oh, that whole group would be nuts.
Yeah.
You need some of those guys, like we talked about one earlier today, who we just don't understand. We just don't get them, but we need them.
And they need you. Yeah. Yeah. It's changing the mindset of like, I want friend. I want this kind of friend. But then you also have to think like, what kind of friend needs me? Right. And so like we have a core group of friends that, I mean, most people do, but like we're all different. Like, one of my buddies, he's very just like, sporadic, spontaneous, like, let's go, dives into things. Like, if he finds something new he really loves, he goes all in on it. And then 3 months later, he finds the next thing. And then I have another friend who he's actually like super smart, very intelligent engineer. Communication's not his strong suit, but between the three of us, we pull on each other to hang out, and we'll initiate the hangs, and will show up super loyal to that. But it's just funny to like, oh, we have these different styles of men.
Right.
But then actually what happened was we all moved away. And so like one friend moved to another state, another friend moved, almost an hour away. And so now that we're not all three together, the hangs, the communication has kind of gone down a lot.
Right.
And it's like, so what happens? Like, what do you do? And so, and I went to a golf outing at Pinehurst. It was so cool, so much fun. It was all these men from all over the country. We all showed up. It's about like 30 men. And it was amazing to me because I thought this was like only me. Like, this is my issue. No other guy struggles with the same things I do. It's impossible, But I'm at this golfing thing, and there's this guy, and we're like, hey, what can we pray with you for? We're just all in a little circle. And he's like, man, for friends, like, I feel like I can't find any like deep friendships. They're all shallow.
Right.
They're all just like so surface leveled. Yeah, we laugh, we hang, we have a beer, hang out, whatever, smoke a cigar. But like, it's not like, hey man, how's your heart? Hey, how are you doing? Hey, how's the family?
Right.
Like, and I was just like, whoa, you're struggling with the same thing I am. Like, I want deep friendship. And like, I really desire that now, especially where I'm at in my life.
Sure.
And so, but when I saw this other man was struggling with the same thing, I gave him an idea when I was praying for him. I saw this like vision of him grilling out and inviting a bunch of men over. And it's like, so you need to
grilled meat, that's a good thing.
Grill meat and invite the boys over for meat and beer and just hang out. But the thing is, it builds this opportunity to where you set the stage and you invite, and whoever comes. But the thing is like, we have to try. And that's like, and that kind of loops back to, how do you try when you're so tired, when you're so, busy with business and family and kids. And then next thing you know, like, all I've done is just family time, which is nice. But the thing is, we're still created for friendship. Yeah. Like, we are wired to have friendships in our life.
Absolutely.
Like, we can't just stay in this, like, if I just hung out with my son and my daughter, like, every single day, every hour of the time that I had free, and I mean, no adult interaction at all, I would go crazy.
You'd go crazy, and also would be drained.
Very
right?
drained, yeah.
See, that's something that I find out in a very personal way is, here I am, I've got this platform, and I've got all these men in my life, right? I mean, I was talking with a guy, about a month ago, and he was talking about, who he really has, how many guys does he have in his life that he interacts with regularly and all that kind of stuff. And I think he had like 3 or 4. Yeah. And he asked me, how many do you have? And I started thinking, and all of a sudden I started laughing. He said, what's so funny? I says, I can't count them all.
Yeah.
There's hundreds.
Yeah.
And that's just my life. However, and this is very vulnerable, but, I'm single, right? And so when I go home at night, a lot of times I feel real isolated. I've got all this that I'm pouring into guys. Yeah. I've got guys like you, guys who I love and are friends of mine. But it's easy for me to find myself isolated in that kind of loneliness, because I've been giving out. And it's like, I wonder if somebody would call me.
Yeah. But, that's an interesting point, because I remember when during my BC days, I was a very nasty person. I was an alcoholic. I was partying all the time, drugs, all this stuff. And when I got underneath a mentor, he told me, you need to isolate yourself. And I was like, isolate myself? I'm lonely, like all depression. I'm like, no, but he said my identity was in people.
Yes. And
so there's two sides to this. Like, you could go down, like, you can live your life identifying, like, building your identity around other people and their friendships and relationships. So you have to be careful with those two sides of that. But
I grew up with such a fear of loneliness.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be alone. And over these last few years, I've learned to be alone. So when I say there's isolation, I've embraced my aloneness,
Yeah.
right? And I'm actually pretty good with it, but I was just saying there's those times,
Yeah.
and that's where you don't know and this is where I want to go with it, is you don't know where that other guy is, what his struggle is. And, we started this talking about being intentional with our relationships. If someone comes across your mind or you haven't seen them in a while or something, give them a shout out, right?
Yeah.
Say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
You want to get together? Just talk.
Yeah. And that's a great tip to it may not be you, your personality, but scratch that. Right. There's things that you need to do and should do when you consider someone a friend. And I mean, yes, maybe you're not in the mood to go back and forth texting, or maybe it's someone like me, where if you're going to text me, I'm going to be like a little puppy, oh yeah, man. Hey, how are you doing? And some guys are like, I don't really want to talk to Taylor right now. I just want to,
Taylor's too much.
Taylor's too much right now. Let me just text and be like, hey bro, how you doing? And then wait to see. But the thing is what that builds, it builds that almost, it's not the colliding, because you're still doing it over text. The colliding of sharpening each other happens in person.
Right.
And so when you do that texting, when you do that engagement, it kind of sparks something within you too, where one, it helps that person that is doing the texting, okay, this is something I need to do, I'm not good at, but you'll slowly get better at it. And then also for that other person, maybe that person may have an idea hey, let's hang out, let's go get coffee, let's go play golf, let's go fishing, do something. But I mean, it is so important to communicate with your friends, and not always wait on the other person to do the communicating. Because we were talking about it before. For me, I'm the communicator, I'm the gatherer, I'm the it's so funny. Last year I got heavy into pickleball, and I'm that type of personality where I go all in, So I got heavy into pickleball. So I started gathering. I was texting 10, 15 guys. Hey guys, we're going to go out and pickleball, blah, blah, blah. And so, but then there were times where I had to slow down and not do it, but the guys would never gather and go do it anymore.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Because the leader's gone.
The leader was gone. And I realized, but it was funny, I got frustrated. I was like, why aren't these guys texting me to go play pickleball? This is stupid. I was getting mad. But then I realized, I'm like, oh, because I'm the leader. I was the one that they looked to gather. Yeah. And maybe also, there was a couple guys that did text and stuff, but I was the one, and that was my strength. Yeah. My strength was gathering men.
So how do both of us are the kind of initiate.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys listening right now who they're the opposite of that spectrum, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to initiate hardly at all.
Yeah.
Right. Let's kind of talk that through a little bit if we can. Let's put a different, I would imagine if I'm one of those guys who I'm just waiting back and, I want relationship, but I'm not going to initiate it.
Yeah.
Man, that's got to be such a hard spot.
Yeah, because it's an uncomfortable muscle that you haven't worked out before. So because I know guys, they're so comfortable. They don't, I'm good. I can just hang out with my family, or I'm good. I'll just stay home, watch TV. And I even know some people that, once they're off work, they just watch TV until they go to bed.
Yeah.
And but the thing, what that does to your mind, what that does to your soul, your spirit, it really starts to it's not diminished, but it starts to decay.
Oh yeah.
Over time. And then next thing you know, you get hit with loneliness, you get hit with depression, but then you don't recognize it at first. And then your body starts to change. You might start gaining weight, but the thing also is your hormones are different. That happens in men too. It doesn't just happen in women.
Well, that's as you know as well as anybody, that's the 5 pillars of next third, best third, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your thought life, your physical condition, your emotional well-being, your relationships, and then those things that are always warring against you, the shame and the guilt and the self-doubt and, all these kind of things. But I've found with all my discussions with guys, the most harmful thing is when a man is in complacency. Mm-hmm. When he's just complacent. He sits back and says, "Oh, I'm good. I don't need all that."
Yeah.
Because the decay sets in, you know.
Yeah.
And decay is like the ocean, the waves of the ocean. It just is relentless. Sometimes it's coming at you in big waves, but it's even in the little waves, it's still there.
Yeah.
It comes from that, constant wearing at us,
Yeah. And that's like going back to those men who sit back and are just chilling.
Right.
But you have to wake up to the fact that, there's guys out there that need you.
That's right.
And there's guys out there that like they want to be your friend. But also you need friendship.
Right.
Like you can't, your best friend could be your spouse. So like if you're a single guy watching this, like, you have those friendships that are real shallow. We're like, let's go play volleyball, go to the park, chill. But like you need deep friendships.
That's
like,
right.
and I mean, that's
to grow, right? And
Yeah.
to develop.
Yeah. And, but some guys out there, they don't care about growing.
No.
They want to stay the same.
Yeah.
And this reminds me, it's really crazy. Like we were, Caitlin has some friends then, that she grew up with around, high school and stuff. And one time, they were up visiting. And so the husbands were out in the back having a beer, talking. And one of the husbands, was just kind of listening. And, me and the other guy, we were just talking, sharing our feelings. And he was just sitting there listening, and he said, man, this is crazy that you guys are talking this way, like kind of deep. Like I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
Wow.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, like when I hang out with my buddies, we don't ever talk like that. We don't ever ask how you doing and how's your heart and like how your kid, like how's your feelings, how can you be better as a husband? Like we never talk about that with my guy friends. And I was like, but the thing that struck me was I didn't know that's what you can do. Like I didn't know you can do that.
That's right.
And that's also when you have friends that are maybe not very good at what you are or whatever, look at their fathers, look at their dads, look at their family upbringing.
Right.
Like, are they gatherers? Are they the people who always had people over, or were they the ones who always got invited? So you have to think about that too, and not have too much like blame and like sadness and frustrations.
Right.
You have to also understand the scenario. But the thing is like kind of looping back to those type of people that maybe not good at like going after friendship. Like you may have to go after them a little bit.
Right.
Like, and then also when you, as that person is sitting there like, oh, I'm good, I don't want to go hang out. You need to start to kind of man up a little bit and say, I need to go hang out. I need to go hang out with the boys.
Well, see, we've talked about this before, but what true masculinity is, it isn't isolated and saying I'm fine by myself or, that true masculinity is taking honest appraisal and a vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Because that's courageous. It's courageous to say, I'm a little bit jacked up or I need some help, you know. But the other part about it is that lie of complacency, or that thing that gets men complacent, is that they don't really understand that this life is not about you.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
It's not just about me.
Yeah.
I'm good, but all the rest of the world around me is not.
Yeah.
So good, you're good. Go help somebody.
Yeah.
Go invest.
Yeah. And then speaking of that, like health wise, like I joke around with my wife on this, but like when hunting season comes around, I'm like, I want to be out, I want to hunt and all that. And I always say, babe, I need this. This makes me a better husband. And like, so I'm like, I need to go hunting because when I come back, I'm going to be a better husband. And we laugh about it and stuff. But the thing is if you want to be better, if you want to grow, if you want even deeper connection with your spouse, you have to have friendship.
Right.
Because it goes back to that old proverb, sharpening eye. Like if you're going to stay dull, you're going to be dull all the time.
Right.
In all your relationships, with your kids, with your wife, with your parent, like you can just go around like if you're going to sharpen something, that means you're going to stay sharp in every single aspect of your life.
Yeah.
But if you're dull and not sharpening, that means you're going to stay dull in every aspect of your life. So
since I've been on this journey, my 6-7 year journey of hell,
Yeah.
going through hell,
Oh, yeah.
and then coming out of it, and then launching Next Third, Best Third, and really being intentional.
Yeah.
Two of my daughters, at separate times by themselves, adult daughters, have told me that they like this version of David more than any version that they've ever experienced.
Why is that?
Because I've done the hard work, because I've been intentional, because I'm not setting back, I'm not complacent.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it, and they're like going, it's good for you, Dad, but good for us.
Yeah.
They're going, the people who know you are recognizing this. And that was the greatest compliment I could have had.
And how old are you?
I'm 66.
You're 66. I'm 37. And so this applies to any man at any age.
Absolutely.
Like it's like, and that's what's crazy to me. It's still, it's a process that will never go away.
No.
Like you still have to do this your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've got a friend of mine who's contemplating retirement, and he's kind of worried about what's he going to do and all these kind of things. And that's normal, right? That's a process that you go through. Yeah. And when I talk to him, I said, I'll keep you busy. We're going after it, right? I mean, what do you mean retire?
Yeah.
You're going to stop your job, but you don't retire, right?
Yeah.
That just robs you,
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I mean, retirement's like, I've heard it so many different things, but like, yeah, you work hard to play hard. You work hard to retire, then live out your life doing stuff, or like live out, oh, I can finally travel, all that. But the thing is I feel like with that mentality, like I'm going to work my butt off to save up so I can live and go do all this stuff. And it just, to me, I'm like, yeah, but what kind of mindset is that when it comes to every aspect of your life?
Right.
Like, so with your friend, like when you retire, it could be a fearful thing. Cause I think about retirement because of course I see videos, how to save up for retirement, but I'm like, man, when I retire, what about my friendships? What are they going to be? Who are going to be my friends even at that time?
Right.
Cause I hate this line, like the season, we're friends for a season. We're a friend. This is part of the season. But like, yes, that happens. Like wherever you are in life, new people may come in. Some people may leave, but like when I'm 60, 70, 80, whenever I retire, like I may have a whole new set of friends that I've never had, or I may not have any.
Well, see, that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Studies have proven this is men who don't nurture relationships at age 37 and at age 42 and are being intentional, and they're just working hard, and they're going to save up and make it so that they got a nest egg to retire on, and they've got their kids, which is wonderful, and their wife, and they're just pouring after that, and they're not building relationships. When they do reach retirement age, the vast majority of men can count on one hand their friends.
Wow.
But they would call real friends.
Yeah.
And it's they've isolated themselves. Their sphere of influence has shrunk, and it's such a sad thing. So they retire to what? They retire to what? And at that age, unless you're intentional like me, which most men aren't at this age, making new friends, and then that's a whole nother challenge.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm in that right now, but I'm in a time where I want to make new friends.
Yeah.
Like I want to build that. So what do? So I actually started a small group at our church that didn't exist. And I was like, okay, who am I? I'm a father with young kids. So I'm going to start a small group that is families and littles. And so parents bring the kids and let's just hang out and see what happens. And so my wife and I jokingly said this, but we're like, so this is like a trial. We're going to invite all these people and then pick the ones we like and all that. This is a joke. But the thing is part of you, I mean, you're making an extra home in your heart for more people to come into your life. And some, again, we go back to some of them may need you. And then, you also may need them. But we're creating an opportunity to make friendship. Right. And that's something that everyone needs to do, especially the people who are like, man, I'm just struggling with friendship. I'm like, okay, cool. What are you doing? Are you looking up places to go find new friends, or are you taking a step out? Like we have an awesome backyard here. So I'm like, I'm going to set up, I like to grill and stuff. So I'm going to grill out, invite people over and create an opportunity.
That's great.
And so that's things that, texting, making do like the things you like to do I like asking, like every time I meet some new friend, I'm like, hey, do you hunt? Do you golf? I always list a hobby of stuff. I don't usually ask the job thing anymore. Right. I skip that. And I'm like, hey, do you like hunting? Do you like fishing? Do you like grilling? I start to assess that way. That way I'm like, hey, I'm playing pickleball. You should come. Oh, sure. Like if I wouldn't write to the job thing, I would have not figured that out. But the thing is I created that moment.
Yeah, I had a corporate gig where I traveled, all over the United States, and I would meet guys at these conventions and all this, and I would always blow them away because I stopped a long time ago asking what they did.
Yeah.
I don't ask anybody their job.
Yeah.
But I've got a good friend of mine who he's a couple of years older, and he and this is a tip for building relationships and how you can be intentional. Mm-hmm. He really is bought into Next to Your Best 30s. He loves it. It's reinvigorating him. His life's changing. But you know what he started doing? He started contacting old college classmates, guys that were in his fraternity that he knew and stuff like that.
Cool.
And he just started re-engaging them. And like he's flown out to see some of them, and they've come to see him. They're playing golf. They're talking.
Wow.
I mean, it's like he calls me up all the time. He says, man, I got another one. He says, you wouldn't believe what happened, and it's, and I mean, and he's coming alive, and he's like 68, 69 years old. And
That's
it's
amazing.
Just, yeah. But he was just intentional about saying, okay, I'm not going to make new friends. He said, I'm not going to start there with new friends. I'm going to rekindle old friends. Yeah. And that's cool.
Yeah. But it also took him the courage to take the step, right, to text, to find, like, you have to create time in your life for it.
Yes.
Like maybe for a season you need to get rid of Netflix, get rid of sports, I don't know. It's hard for me to say I really love sports, but get rid of something that is taking up your time, that is checking you out of reality. Yeah. Maybe take an evaluation of like, okay, what is wasting my time? Mm-hmm. What is giving me zero growth, zero, fulfillment? Cut that out and fill that with intentionality for friendship.
That's good.
And I mean, you never know. Like, I mean, you do know because we've done it. But like, there's gonna be so many things that's gonna come from that because and it's the same thing. Like, I love the Bible. I love looking at things in the Bible. But God uses a lot of agriculture, mm-hmm, a lot of
sowing and reaping and all
that. And so when you look at a garden, mm-hmm, when you are planting a seed, and if you forget about it, it will die. But if you nurture it, if you go after it, it can grow and grow and grow and then produce some really great fruit out of it. Right. And so the thing is like, we live in this microwave society. Oh, I want this now. But the thing is with friendship, you have to slowly keep building, keep watering it, keep feeding it. And some men are probably in a phase too where they're just sad and depressed. And that's why guys like us are real important too, is because we need to go make sure those guys are okay. That's right. And then they could actually become maybe a good friend for someone else. But that's why friendship is also important, is like, you never know.
Again, it's not about you. I mean, you can literally save someone's life by being intentional. Another tip that I was just thinking of, it's something that I did, is as we get older, our spheres of influence get comfortable. We get complacent with that. Oh, yeah. And so, you go to the same place all the time. It might be a church. It might be this or that. You got the same group of people around you. As you know, a little over 3 months ago, I started taking acting lessons, right? Yeah. So I'm driving into Austin twice a week, and I've got rehearsals during the week. And what's really so exciting about that is I put myself in a position, Taylor, where I have like 15 people in my life who I'm building relationship with, mm-hmm, who I would never have had a relationship with. I mean, they're from ages 22 on up, all different ethnicities, all different points of view politically and everything. Yeah. And we're there doing something together. Mm-hmm. And it's really fun. And I mean, I've got 15 new friends. Yeah. Yeah. And that makes me think of
a point of not every friendship is going to be equal.
Right.
So like you've heard the circle of influence and all this stuff, like who's in your inner circle. That's like a business term, things like that. But like you may have some friends that are just, hey, let's just kick it.
Yeah.
But then you may have some friends that are like, hey, I trust you to take care of my children if something happens to me. Like, so there's like levels to it, but it's also important to have that. So don't feel too overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, I have to get 12 disciples and like I have to get 12 super deep intentional friends. I have no time for one right now. How am I going to do 12? No. It's there's levels to it. And it's okay also.
And what we're doing is we're training ourselves
Yeah.
to be intentional, right? I mean, so as you say, there's different stages, there's different things. Even out of my group at the acting school, you know, I consider them all friends, but there's a couple who I've really made deeper connection.
Cool.
And it's like going, wow, that is really special.
Yeah.
You know, and but I wouldn't have known any of them
Yeah.
if I sat home, you know, doing the same routine.
Watching Netflix.
I got my podcast, I do my job, you know, and I go to church, you know, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a tip if you're trying to say, how do I engage intentionality is maybe step out and try something different, you know?
Yeah. You got to check out and check out. Like you got to check out of going numb and then check out new friends.
Yeah.
Like you just got to.
New opportunities.
Yeah. New opportunities. I mean, it's just, I would have to say this, the lonely or like the saddest times of my life is when I didn't have good friendships.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I'm not even going to say this about my marriage, but I'm like, even to the hardest times of my marriage, like my friendships that I had helped my marriage get better and stronger because I had other men to lean on, and other men were like, dude, I've gone through that. Yeah. I'm like, you have? Yeah. I'm like, what'd you do? Well, I did this, and this. Text me next week. Let me know how it goes. You know, like, I mean, it's so important. Like, it is so life-giving. Mm-hmm. And I can sit back and go through so many scenarios of my life where I'm like, man, because I made it through is because I had deep friendship and I had good people that maybe there was one or two, sometimes there was 10, you know, but the thing is my friendships is what kept me really going and strong. And, you know, I think that's the thing that's going to really impact a lot of men right now. And I think a lot of men are starting to wake up to it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, I know that just in what our work we're doing.
Yeah,
here
what
with
we're
Nexus.
doing.
Yeah, I mean, we hear that all the time.
But even the men's group that you're doing at our church, like I've been at the church almost 10 years, and the men's group has never really been like something attractive.
Right.
But it's crazy. Most churches or there's no men groups that are very good.
Right.
And so like hearing about the one you're doing, I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's flourishing. I mean, there's guys who are really, really coming alive.
And it's deep. You guys are going in deep and sharing deep stuff and being real.
Yeah.
And
in all ages.
In all ages, yeah.
You know, it's interesting because one of the things that, as you were speaking, it kind of came back to me where you said, you know, your marriage is better if you have good friendships and what have you. When I went through everything, when my life was falling apart, I had probably 5 or 6 men from all over the country who I had relationships with on some level, right? But a couple of them I hadn't talked to in a long, long time, right?
Yeah.
But they found out what was happening, and they would call me regularly to encourage me, right? Yeah. They didn't call me to give me advice.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't need advice, you know. I needed hope. Mm-hmm. You know, I needed to know that I had purpose still and a reason to live, and you know.
Yeah.
And these guys would just call me, and I mean, out of the blue, you know. And one guy in particular, he would call me, and he was a chaplain, so he was a grief trainer. He trained like first responders in how to handle grief.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And so he would call me up and he said, how you doing? And I'd say, I'm so depressed. He says, good. And I'd be like, what the heck? And then next time he called me, he said, how you doing? I said, I'm so pissed off. He says, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You know? And then he'd call me again, and I'd be like in denial, saying, I can't believe this is happening. And finally, one day, I sit there and said, what the heck is wrong with you? Why are you always saying good?
Yeah.
He's saying, because you're going through the stages of grief, and that's good. He goes, if you weren't experiencing those things, then I'd be worried about you.
Yeah.
And he changed my perspective.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I started realizing, saying, wait a minute, I'm getting healthy.
Yeah.
I would never have thought of that. I might have been in a cycle of going round and round and round down the drain, and my friend, because he was intentional,
Yeah.
threw me a rope and I was able to get out.
And that's something that pushing this super hard, looping back to that husband that was like, I didn't know you could talk that way. I didn't know.
Right.
It's like for men, it's okay to feel. Like it's okay to feel emotions. And it's okay to express those emotions. Stop hiding it. Stop pushing it down. Stop trying to be a badass and like,
Right.
oh, I'm just gonna, I'll be fine. I'm fine. I'm like, no, bro. Like, guys, it's okay.
The lie that guys believe that if we suppress them, like if we're pushing them away, if we're not letting them up, we're in control of our emotions, which is actually a lie. Because if you're pushing down your emotions, they're actually controlling you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm a very emotional guy. Like that's how I'm wired. I'm so emotional.
So you and I are a lot alike. That's why we get along.
I know. That's why it's like we need to get a really shy guy in here and interview him. But yeah, I'm real emotional. So I'm real. Also, that's why it's easier for me to be intentional because I'm emotional and I understand emotion.
Right.
But I've also, it's kind of awakened in me. Like I wasn't always emotional, but like I went through therapy for 3 years, and I started to learn a lot about myself.
Right.
And why I'm wired the way I am, why I do things the way I do, where I need healing and things like that. So I finally, and a lot of husbands have rejected therapy, but I will stand by it. Therapy's amazing. But I'm like shocked at the fact how so many men just bury things and just say I'm good. Yeah. But then it comes out like a freaking hurricane and that's like me. That's why I have to check myself. That's why I need to have fun. That's why, we golf. And so like, I need to go have fun. I need to go hit the shit out of a ball sometimes. Cause I'm just like so frustrated with work. I'm so just like out of it. And so, but the thing is when I can't release that stuff, when I can't get with my friends, and I tell this to my wife all the time, like, babe, I need to have some fun. I need to have a guy's night. I need it because I'm boiling over and I need a buddy to like, just be like, hey bro, you good? Or like, hey man, what's going on? And where I can release it.
Yeah. And you can release it over grilling steak. Yeah. You can release it over a beer and a cigar. You can release it on the golf course, whatever it may be, pickleball. But, there's guys who are following and listening who they do suppress their emotions, right? They're not really emotional. Yeah. But there's something so healthy about putting yourself in with other guys and seeing emotions happen, right? Yeah. So if you might not be dealing with it, you might be suppressing, it might not be easy for you to, embrace emotions. But if you put yourself around a group of guys who are intentional, it normalizes emotions. Yeah. Right? You start to say, oh, like that guy said, I didn't know you could talk like this. Yeah. I didn't know you could express your feelings like this. I didn't know you could cry in front of another guy. Yeah. I didn't know you could, be yelling and being angry at God in front of another guy, right? I mean, but that's all so healthy, and we need that. That's iron sharpening iron right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just an honest dude. I'm pretty blunt. If you want to be a better man, if you want to be a better husband, father, you have to have other men in your life.
That's right.
If you don't care about that right now, I'm sorry. I understand. I was there. I've been depressed. But like, if you don't care about that, you need to take a step back and ask yourself why. Yeah. And you need to go down that road, and you need to find a friend to go down that road with you, because if you are thinking that way, you're not in a healthy spot. No. I'm just going to say it.
That's such a great spot to kind of even start winding down here, right? But because that's so true, because one of the things, like we say with Next Third, Best Third, those 5 pillars, the pillar of relationship, you've got to be courageous enough as a man to examine your life.
Yeah.
Examine the relationships. Why don't I have many? Why do I have such a hard time with it? Why do I avoid it? Why am I complacent? Then take honest appraisal, right? And say, all right, is this coming from a childhood trauma? Is this coming from just fear? Where is this coming from? Is this coming from comparison, feeling lack, which are all those identity issues, and then being intentional to be courageous enough to say, I'm not putting up with this crap anymore.
Yeah.
I'm stepping in. I'm going to be a better man. I'm going to build relationships because I want to be a better father. I want my kids to say, I like this version of you more than before.
Yeah.
You want that relationship with your wife to be better.
Yeah.
And, when you're able to express emotions and have control over them, your marriage is going to be so much better.
Yeah. It's true. And there's a lot of men out there listening that they probably don't even know what really healthiness looks like yet.
No. And they could be married 10, 15, 20 years.
I know. You may not have ever had this opportunity before,
right.
But I mean,
even though I'm an emotional guy, and when I examined what went wrong in my marriage, I realized that we never had any real conflict. And so what would happen is my wife would just suppress it all, right? And I would avoid it all. And and then I would brag that we never had a fight.
Yeah.
How unhealthy
That's
is
not
that?
good.
That's not good at all.
Conflict is key.
It's key, but I had to have conflict, learn how to have conflict with me first.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned over these last 7 years is how to conflict with myself.
Yeah.
And the command to love God. The greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Yeah.
The second one is to love others as you love yourself. And I didn't love myself well.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm really starting to, dig down deep and examine my life, I'm starting to like myself.
Yeah.
I'm starting to love myself.
That's good.
And people think I love well.
You do. I think so.
I mean, how much better is it going to be? How much more love am I going to show in the next third?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't imagine because you're loving yourself more than you've ever had. Yeah.
So it's so good.
And the journey doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't stop.
You're not going to reach this, like, what is it? The Buddhist or whoever, they're like enlightenment, nirvana, whatever.
Enlightenment.
Valhalla, whatever. Like it's a continuous journey. So might as well get good at it now.
Yeah.
So it's easier later.
Yeah. And what you're doing as you do this, guys, is that what you're really doing is you're investing in the future you.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are, 29 years apart, right? The work you're doing on you right now. I mean, think about the man you're going to be when you're 60.
Man.
You're going to be amazing. You're amazing now, but you're going to be amazing. And the influence you're going to have is going to be worldwide.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we're going to end this. It's been fun. If you do me a favor, if you'd subscribe, if you'd share, comment, all that helps us get this kind of content out to more and more men. And here's to your next third being your best third. See you next time.